Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Miss Hannah. I'm from the Bala Cynwyd Library. I'm so glad that you could join me today for some more simple water experiments. And as always, I've tried to pick some that have items that you should probably already have somewhere at home, but so that you can follow along. But if you don't have them at home, feel free to just watch and maybe try them again later. So for our first experiment, it's called counting drops. And most importantly, you are going to need a penny, or two or three, however many you'd like to try. Need a small dish, and it can be glass or plastic. It doesn't matter, it just should be pretty shallow. Also going to need a dropper, some rubbing alcohol, paper towels, and of course some water. And I have a lot of water. You definitely don't need this much water. I'm going to save most of it for our next experiment, but it's easier if you have something maybe smaller, maybe sort of this size, because you're going to need to get water out with the dropper. So to get started, you want to take your rubbing alcohol, I'm going to open it up and pour it into our small dish. And you don't need a lot because you're going to put the penny down into it. So really just enough to cover the bottom so that you'll have enough for the penny. Then I'm going to use both of mine. We're going to lightly drop our pennies into the rubbing alcohol. Okay, and then you're just going to want to leave your pennies sit in the rubbing alcohol for a couple minutes. So I'll see you again in a couple minutes for the next part of the experiment. Okay, so now that our pennies have been soaking in the rubbing alcohol for a couple minutes, mine have been in here for, I'd say, about 5 minutes, so you can do a little bit less than that, a little bit longer, and since this is a science experiment, you may have to experiment with different times and see how long they need to stay in the rubbing alcohol. But I think mine have been done and soaked and got nice and clean for about the 5 minutes that they've been in here. So before we start into the main part of the experiment, it is very, very, very important that you do not touch the pennies with your fingers. So you can dump them into a different cup, you can dump them onto here, use the towel to dump them off. Just make sure during no step in this process do you touch them with your hands. So first thing we're gonna do is pour the rubbing alcohol out of the container with the pennies. I'm going to pour mine into this other cup over here so that we don't have to go over to the sink, but you can dump yours directly down the drain in the sink into another cup, however you want to do it. So I'm going to pour mine into this other cup, and again, make sure you don't touch the pennies. So once you get most of the rubbing alcohol off the pennies, use the cup to dump them onto the paper towel. Just like that. And then you can fold the paper towel over to dry them. But again, make sure you don't touch it with your fingers. You can flip them to a more dry spot. Just like that. And then for this, you want to dump them onto a flat surface. I'm just going to use my table here, but if you want, you can dump them onto a piece of paper. You could put them on the kitchen counter, the bathroom counter, on a piece of plastic wrap, wax paper, in a baking sheet, however you want to do it, but I'm just going to put mine directly on the table. So again, don't touch them, just use the paper towel to flip them and slide them onto the table. Next, if you watched my last video about water experiments, you are probably already a pro at using the dropper, but for all of our friends who don't know how quite yet, we are going to take the end, you're going to squeeze it, put it down in the water, and let go, and it should fill up with water. You can kind of see it comes up to about there. Next, you're going to want to hold it straight up and down, vertically. You don't want to do it at an angle. Just straight up and down, and you're going to place a drop of water onto the penny. So I'll start with this one here. So put one drop on the penny. Just like that. There's one. And so you're going to keep placing drops of water on the penny one at a time and we'll count and see how many we think that we can get on there before the water starts to run off. So before we start, go ahead and make your guesses as to how many droplets of water we can fit on the penny before the water overflows off the side. Okay, everyone have their guesses? Let's see. So we have 1 already. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, still holding, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, I'm gonna need some more water. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh! So we were able to hold 20 drops of water before it overflowed onto the table. So let's real quick try the second penny. If you have another one, let's try again and see how many we can get on the other one. But again, make sure you don't touch the penny with your fingers. Okay, so let's try the second penny. Let's see what we can get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, get some more water, 18, 19, 20, 21. Oh, same amount. So we were actually able to get 20 drops of water on each of our pennies before it overflowed onto the table. So now it is okay. If you're on the table, you can touch the pennies and clean up your water. So when we first started our experiment, I asked you to take a guess and see how many drops you thought we could get onto each penny. So how many drops did you think that we would get before it overflowed? Did you guess 1, 2, 5, or even 10? Hopefully you didn't guess over 100. But for this experiment, we were able to get a lot of droplets on these 2 pennies, 20 on each. And the reason that we were able to get so many to stick on top of this small surface without overflowing and going onto the table is because the water molecules stick together. And when they stick together, you can get more droplets to stick together and stay on the penny than you may think. Our second experiment today is called straw poll. So for this experiment, you're going to need a couple of more items. So first, you're going to need water. Then you'll need plastic cups, and you'll need 4 for this experiment. So there's 4 in here. You'll need food coloring. And for this one to work, you really need 4 different colors of food coloring. If you only have 1 or 2 or 3, that's okay. You'll just do one less step. But to do the whole thing that I'm going to do today, you'll need 4. So I have blue, green, red, and yellow. You'll also need a straw, of course, to make the straw poll, a teaspoon, and some salt. So let's get started with making our straw poll. Okay, so for our second experiment, the straw poll, we are going to be working with food coloring. So if you're following along and doing this experiment at home, you might want to change into some older clothes that would be okay to get food coloring on. I know this has become my science sweatshirt because when we made a rain cloud a couple videos ago, I got the green food coloring on it. So this is my science outfit. So if you have one, now is the time to put it on. But if you're just following along to watch at home, that is okay too. So to get started, we are going to fill each of our 4 cups with water. And I will hopefully not spill the water. I'm gonna fill them pretty full, but obviously don't overflow them. Okay, so we have our 4 cups full of water. Next, we're going to take our food coloring. And again, for this one, you're going to need 4 different colors. So I have blue, I have red, yellow, and I have green. And take each color and we're going to put 10 drops of a different food coloring into each cup. First cup, we're going to do green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. First cup is our green cup. And we have our yellow cup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Our red cup, we're going to again put 10. And again, please be careful with the food coloring. I'm trying to open these because they're brand new and very full. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And as you can see, I already got some on my fingers. And for our blue cup, we will of course add 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Just like that. So we now have each of our 4 cups, and you can see the colors kind of starting to settle. I'm going to put the food coloring away so it doesn't get spilled or tipped over. Put that away for now. Next, you are going to take your teaspoon. Very important that we are using a teaspoon, not a tablespoon. And we are going to add salt to each of the cups. So this is where it's going to be very important to measure precisely. So if anyone is into cooking or baking, you know that when you measure out ingredients, we don't measure over the cup or what we're going to pour it into. So I'm just going to use one of our little cups from our last experiment with the penny, and I'm going to pour over that. So for the first cup, for the green one over here, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. And I did spill a little. Level it off. 1 teaspoon of salt for cup number 1. Cup number 2, the yellow, we're going to add 2 teaspoons. And I am making a mess, that is why I'm doing it over the cup. There's 1. And 2. For the next one, the red one, we are going to add 3 teaspoons. Just 1. Just 2. And 3. And finally for the blue one, the last one, we are going to add 4. One. 2, 3, whoops, and 4. Just like that. So now we have all 4 of our cups with salt. Remember, we have 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons, 3 teaspoons, and 4 teaspoons. Once you have all of your salt measured out and poured into each cup, you're going to take a spoon and you're going to stir each of them to mix the salt in. Now is the tricky part. So take your straw and you're gonna go from left to right. So the one that you put the least amount of salt in is first. So you take your straw, you're gonna stick one end in about an inch, like that. Then you're going to put your finger over the top end of the straw and pull it out of the cup. And you should have, you can see some green in your straw, like that. Next, you're going to keep your finger over the top. I'm going to put it over the yellow cup, stick it about 2 inches in. Again, keep your finger on top, stick it 2 inches in, slowly remove your finger from the top, and pull it back out. And did you see what happened there? The yellow started up at the top, and it switched places with the green, and now we have green at the top and yellow at the bottom. Okay, you're going to do it again. Move to your red cup, keep your finger nice and tight on the top of the straw. This time we're going to stick it in about 3 inches. Slowly remove our finger and then put it back over the top. And as you can see, we now have red at the bottom, we have yellow in the middle, and we've got green on top. And finally, we're going to do it one more time. You're going to stick it about 4 inches or as far as you can get into the blue cup. Remember, keep your finger on top of the straw. Stick it down in. Lift your finger. Put it back over. And pull it out. And my cups are pretty shallow, so I wasn't able to get too much blue. But as you can see, we have green up at the top, yellow in the middle, red second to last down here, and blue at the very bottom. Just like that. And so you can then let go. If you're done with the experiment, you can let go and put it all into the blue cup. If it didn't work out and your straw mixed the colors, they weren't still in separate ones. I know my cup's kind of shallow, so I couldn't get too much in there. But if you want to try it again, put it into the cup that you dumped the salt into at the beginning, or dump it down the sink, and you can try it again. So let me see if I can do it one more time. Let me see if I can rinse this out, because I know I just put it all in the blue, but let's see. We'll try it one more time and see how it goes this time. So let's try green first. Put a little more in the green. Green. Remember, hold your finger over the top, keep it held on top like that, stick it in, release, put it back up. Oh, this one's not working as well, they're starting to blend together. Down in red. Got some red. Down in blue, let go, and quickly put it back up. And this one, as you can see, especially because I dumped the last one into the blue, they are starting to mix. So I'm just going to dump it back in there. And I'm going to just set my straw over here for now. So, what is going on with this? Why are we able to build a pole of different separate colors in our straw? It's the same water. I got this same water straight out of the sink. It's the same in all 4 cups. I didn't use something different, just plain tap water. So how are we able to get it so that rather than mixing all together and, when the green and the blue mixed, we didn't get a color. When red and yellow mixed, we didn't get a different color. When blue and red mixed, we didn't get purple. Anyone know why that is? It's because of the salt. So when you add salt into the water, and remember we added different amounts of salt to each cup, when you add the salt in there, you're increasing the density of the water. And density affects how much the water either floats or sinks. So the water that has the least salt, which would be the green, will float at the top. That's why it came the whole way up to the top of our straw. When you saw when we first put it into the yellow, they flipped positions. It's because the green has less salt, it's lighter, and it can float up on top. And then the water with the most salt, which for us was the blue, is the heaviest, so it stays down at the bottom. So that is how you can change the density of water, and we use the different colors to show each density. That's how you can change the density of water to make it float on top of each other and make a straw pole. So thank you everyone so much for joining me today. Hopefully you were able to get lots of drops of water on your penny. If you were able to get more than me, please do let me know. I'd love to hear how many that you were able to get on your penny, so share it down below in the comments. I'd be very excited to see maybe you got 25, maybe you got 30, 50, I don't know. You'll have to keep trying and see if you can beat my 20 on each penny. And then also, I hope that you were able to get the straw pole to work. I know it is a little bit difficult, and they do mix a little bit if you don't measure it quite right. So keep trying, add a little bit more salt, maybe add a little bit less salt, experiment with more colors. If you have more colors of food coloring, see if you can get the whole straw to fill up. I don't know. Hopefully, whatever you do, you can make the colors separate. And again, I would love to see the end result of your experiment. If you could share a picture with me in the comments below. But thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys again next Friday here on the Facebook page for more science videos. Bye!